This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and today I'm pleased to have singer, songwriter, voice contestant Bree Fondacaro and legendary Adolescents guitarist Frank Agnew on the show. Was your youth a positive experience?
Yeah, it was very positive. You know, I did grow up with a very unique household and really unique parents. My father's a little person and my mom is average size. So right away it just kind of brought a lot of uniqueness to the home and a different perspective on how you look at life. And I would say it was very positive, very loving. Did any of the adversities that your father went through, how did that affect your perception of humanity? Just to kind of, obviously, as cliche as it sounds, not to judge someone from the outer appearance, to really just kind of get to know people from the inside out, and also not to be afraid of how I looked or how I developed. Did your mom ever tell you like what it was that attracted her to your father? Yeah, she told me time and time again, actually, just because I'd always ask her as a little girl and even, you know, as a woman. She basically just, you know, they started off as friends, and she was very intrigued in the fact that he, you know, played the piano and he sang, and very well too, and just had a natural ability and gift. So she was drawn to that, the fact that he didn't let anyone, you know, kind of hold him back, and then it just kind of developed into a love relationship, obviously, and it was basically through his music. He kind of it's kind of what nabbed her. You know, a lot of her friends gave her grief over it, sadly, and just kind of like, oh, like trying to cause a lot of fear as far as the future goes if she were to marry him or a man like that. And all of it was completely never came true of what they thought would happen or whatnot, or having issues with kids or anything like that. Nothing, you know, like that happened. In fact, it just they're just like kind of a walking example, a blessing, you know, to a lot of people. What are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome to get as far as you have in the music industry? Just to kind of stay on and stick with the dream that I have. Not being stable financially, just because of the way that the music industry is, keeping my head afloat and feeling like, you know, like I'm taking care of myself as an adult. You know, it can make you feel like a failure at times because you can't, you know, do the average things that people are doing at a certain time in their life. As a youth, you know, as an adolescent, I was very insecure at times, and I didn't feel safe and all this stuff. So I've had to battle a lot of the you know, the insecurities of instability. One night I really had made it up into my mind that, you know what, it's time to own my craft and not trying to like self-sabotage this and, you know, tell myself that it's never going to happen, or tell myself that I'm not enough or I don't have what it takes. I basically just had to kind of tell myself, you know, just be you and do what you love, and the rest will fall into place. So at what age did you realize that music could be a career for you? Around 17. That is around the time that I went to Bucharest. And Bucharest, that experience in Romania, I had the opportunity to go and do a private little concert, a benefit concert for the women, the gypsy women that were enslaved to human trafficking. And, you know, at the time I was going through a really, really difficult time in my life, and it really, you know, broadened my perspective on life, and people that were in complete turmoil, still being able to have a smile on their face and be completely thankful just for a random singer there singing for them, and they were able to kind of like, it just opened my eyes to, like, you know, being even that much more thankful for your life and for what you do have. That is when I kind of realized that this was more than what I wanted. It was more of like a calling because of my effect on people. And not for that to sound cocky at all, I just witnessed something that was very impactful for me of helping people through music. I watched the video of you and Dave Kovel at the Coach House. Yeah. And your voice just sounds amazing. Thank you. To be an actual career and to be more, you know, intentional with my artistry and owning ownership of my craft was when I started gigging with Dave. And he was a local guitarist that had huge knowledge of all different kinds of music and different styles, and we related on that and how we loved from things to 50s pop to all the way to 80s underground, you know, crust punk, and it was cool to find a match like that and be related. And we started gigging as just a guitar and vocal duo, and I was like, this is fun. I felt empowered. I felt, you know, it was something that I was like, I gotta keep doing this.
What is your vision for your success?
I always want to have whatever music I'm making, I want it to kind of have its own stamp on it and have it be something that, right when you hear it, it's kind of like a trademark of that's Bree, or that's what, if it's a band, that's the band. Lyrically, I've always wanted to kind of have people think, and because there is a lot of depth to my lyrics, and there's a lot of different meanings that it can go a lot of different places, and that's very intentional, because I want people to kind of put their own view and their own meaning to it, just like art. I want to be there for people. I love people, so I think performing and going around, and it's more than just singing and, you know, going through the motions. It's being relational, and because I care. You know, I care about speaking to my audience. I care about how I represent myself to be a good, you know, I don't want to sound cheesy, but a good, like, role model. You know, I want my imperfections to be hope for people. I want people to see that I've been through a lot, as much as maybe I don't look like it from the outside or whatever, but I have been through a lot. I want them to see that there's possibility beyond that they're not stuck, that they're not, you know, that they're not alone.
For you, being Bree is what inspires you. Going out there on that stage is what it's like filling up your tank with gas.
Exactly. That's such a good way to look at it. I love that. Actually, I love that. I'm going to use that.
You've got what it takes to go all the way.
I'm very versatile with my voice because I have it all in my head of all these different styles, and then I've just kind of made it my own and fused together everything that I love and then just made it me.
So what do you remember about doing Somewhere Out There?
Yes.
Off American Tail?
Yes.
4 is very young to be on a stage singing in front of people. So
I just remember feeling, you know, really excited, not nervous, ready to just sing it out, and envisioning myself as a little mouse looking up at the moon. You know, I don't know, but I remember just feeling really happy.
Would you like to be an actress?
I think that I could do it. I think that I would definitely be open towards that.
If you could do a Bree cover album, what would you cover?
Oh my gosh, right away, Connie Francis, Don't Break the Heart, and probably Stupid Cupid too. You Didn't Do Right by Me by Rosemary Clooney, and that's from The White Christmas. I would do Johnny Angel by Shelley Fabares.
Oh, that's great.
And then I would probably do Sweet Nothings by Brenda Lee. You know, Stand By Me, or Dock of the Bay, That's All Right Mama, you know, by Elvis.
Yeah. Classic rock.
Yeah, I love Alice Cooper. I love Iron Maiden.
How did you meet punk guitar legend Frank Agnew? I
was just singing at a local spot in Yorba Linda called Versailles Wine Bar. And I was singing with Dave, just one of our normal gigging nights. And I had actually noticed him when he walked in, but I didn't recognize him. He had a black beanie on. He had his long black hair at the time. And they just kind of sat in the corner. He was with a gentleman and 2 beautiful ladies, and they were just sitting in the corner. And, you know, we were just doing our thing, singing our wide range of different styles and whatnot. And then on our break, Dave kind of, you know, told me to come over there, and he was with Frank and I think it was Mark that he was with, and the 2 ladies, and so I just went over, and Frank, you know, reached out his hand and said, "Young lady, you have a killer voice." He said something along those lines, a killer voice. When I found out who he was, I didn't show it then at all, but I was just on cloud 9 when I was going home. I pulled out I had just actually gotten the blue CD, the Adolescents blue CD, but I got it on vinyl. I got it in blue vinyl. But I was looking at it, I turned it on, like, over on the back of it, and I saw little Frank as, like, this little 15-year-old boy. I'm like, that's him. You know, and I was just so stoked because the Adolescents have been like one of my favorites since I was like 13, 14. So it was just a trip. Basically, once I started working with him, right away I was just able to be myself, and right there I'm sold. You
know him from the Adolescents and Heavy Dirt. Legendary Frank Agnew. And now you're working with Bree, this amazing singer, songwriter, artist. Tell me about your collaboration and what you love about her.
She knows how to sing. I love her style. When I first heard her sing, I'm like, wow, I'd like to work with someone like that. Someone, you know, very versatile. I wonder what it would sound like, you know, if we put our styles together. And and see what happens. And so far, I think it sounds good. What do you think?
Sounds real good, actually. I'm really liking the contrast of our styles. I was just telling Eric earlier about how you bring a very like pop sensibility to my music, and because my lyrics could be a bit, you know, complex, and you kind of throw in these really catchy hooks that really elevate the music. So I'm really happy so far.
What do you think makes Bree unique?
Her sound, her approach, the way she sings, and the way she just catches on to things like that. You know, I'd sit there and say, oh, well, check this, what I have here, blah, blah, blah. And she just start humming stuff, and it just works. You know, she gets it. Her look, her style, everything is just, it's not quite like anything else.
You guys have a group called the Fatalists. Now, how would you define that sound?
It's defining itself. And, you know, as we go along, it's not like we went in and said, okay, well, I think we should sound like this or sound like that. It's like, well, let's just throw everything that, you know, that we like, that what we're into, what we do, let's throw it in there and see what comes out.
Intentionally, what we want is for it to be a very fresh sound, nothing that you've really heard much of.
That night I met you at that wine bar, and she was singing, you know, I'm all, the first thing that caught me was her look, you know, I'm all, oh, wow, okay, there's this kind of like punk goth kind of looking chick and young, and then I heard it. The wonderful vibrato, how you're supposed to do it. Not that I'm any kind of vocal expert or anything, but I mean, like, so few singers know how to work vibrato. You know, it's just like, instead of like, you know, kind of goes into it. You know what I mean? It's like smooth, and it does that instead of just like, you know, like you got the drill, you know. Lyrically and that sort of thing, you know, her lyrics are fascinating. I don't quite understand them myself, but I know I like them.
What is your ultimate dream for working with Bree?
It's happening.
Tell me about how the voice thing happened for you.
Long story short, it definitely fell into my lap. I was not planning on any of it. Earlier, you know, this year actually, or last year, I was working with a pianist, Tony Guerrero, and he's really dialed in, you know, music head in the industry, and he has his own jazz trio. He plays at Steamers. He plays at all the jazz clubs. He's really rad dude, and I was doing some music with him, and he wanted to do a couple of videos to post up online, and so, you know, I started a relationship with him musically, and super cool. And I guess he mentioned my name to some people in the industry, and they must have just looked me up and liked what they saw, and they called me up, and personally I got a phone call on my cell, and asked me to come in for a private interview. And then I got really excited because I found out that Gwen Stefani from No Doubt was going to be one of the coaches. They don't like to be called judges because they're there to mentor you and to coach you and to help you develop, or, you know, just develop who you are, you know, whatever. And so I was like, then I really started getting excited, and so the nerves started kind of coming about. And this guy, I mean, Frank, was really, you know, through this time we were working, actually when I found out, I had a rehearsal that day, and I shared the news with him, and, you know, he was a big encourager of just kind of following through with it and everything. And so I just did it, and I went on the private audition, and I auditioned. I got through the audition process like that and went into the interview, and, you know, I felt really good. I was getting really good vibes from, you know, the casting people and the producers and stuff like that. They loved my song selection. I totally rebelled with that because they asked for current songs and did not want to do the current stuff, so I just said, hell with it, I'm going to do Billie Holiday. And so I did Billie Holiday, and I did a Memphis Mini song called Bake My Biscuit that Mazzy Star, a 90s artist, did. And I was like, I'm going to do that one. You know, I just felt like I could be me with these songs, and they loved it. In the audition, they were like, Bake My Biscuit, huh? Like, I like that song, you know? So I just felt good, and the interview was, you know, super sweet. You know, I got to kind of see their characteristics, or the kind of who they are behind the show, and they seem like they have good, you know, morals and good, you know, a good head on their shoulders. So I felt comfortable, and so it just made me, you know, kind of nail that audition. They called me a week later, and to my surprise, I was actually auditioning for season 8, which is not this upcoming season. It's the next one, which is Christina Aguilera is going to be back on. It's not going to be with Gwen, but they called me and said, you know, we've never done this before, but you really made an impact on us with your audition and your song choice and your whole package that we want to fast track you onto season 7 with Gwen Stefani. And I was in complete shock. I was just like, you know what, this has to be meant. This has to be totally a God thing, you know, just something that kind of like, you know, just an opportunity that doesn't come, you know, often. And so I was like, all right, I'm doing it. Just before all this was coming about, I was kind of trying to figure out, you know, where I'm going to go with this and when is it going to be to where, you know, I just was so hoping for just some sort of break. It's just some little foot in the door that I can get myself so I could just really show the world what I got and, you know, just my whole vision and everything of what I want to do with this. And it fell into my lap. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to freaking take this as my one shot. I feel very, very honored and thankful that they want to fast track me to just be on it. You know, I just...
And change your life.
Yes, and change my life.
Forever.
Yes, because this is the type of exposure that people work their whole lives to get to. And it just kind of came to me, and I just would feel extremely selfish if I didn't take it.
This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show. Frank Agnew, thank you for being on the Blairing Out with Eric Blair
My
show.
pleasure.
Bree Fondacaro, thank you for being on the show. This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Bree Fondacaro and Frank Agnew signing off.